Good afternoon, everyone. I am Pastor Jim, and we are here for a lunch teaching. I have something I wanted to share, and it was something that I was reading about and just kind of studying a little bit on. I wanted to share it with you. And the title of what I want to call this here is that how losing can make you better. How losing can make you better. Now, so to start this off, I want to think about it like this. So we are now in the fall. Summertime is officially over. Fall is here. And when you think about fall, when you think about that particular point in time, what happens? Okay, so the leaves start turning brown. They begin to fall off the trees. The weather gets colder. People start to dress warmer. Sports season starts. You start to see that. You see pumpkins everywhere. Pumpkin spice everywhere. You start to see all those kind of things. And like I said before, summer officially ends. And because summer has officially ended, there are certain things that we did in summer that we need to start moving away from because that season is now over. Now, just from a simple standpoint, you can think of shorts and short sleeves and things like that, air conditioners. I mean, as it starts getting colder, you don't need the air anymore. You need to start getting ready for the heat. Like, where's the heat? Get the blankets and things like that. But the bigger thing here is the idea of this. There is a time and a season for everything. There's a time and it's a season for everything. Now, like I said, we're moving from one season to the other. So we're moving from summertime into fall. And with that weather change, it's going to affect a lot of people differently. Unless you live here down in the South, and summer's going to go on another 6 months or something like that. But each season, the way that it normally goes is that it's unique to itself. Everything that happens in that particular season stays usually within that season. And the thought behind that is that things that helped you in one season might not help you in the next. Those shorts and those things like that you wore in the summertime, they're not going to help you as much as fall continues to go on. Now, unless you were one of those people who can wear shorts all the time. I was one of those people. I grew up in marching band for many years, so we'd be out there wearing some of anything. It'd be cold outside. We had shorts on, but I don't do that anymore. But with each season, the question is this: what type of seasonal packing are you doing? Now, I'm not talking literally, I'm talking more figuratively. What type of seasonal packing are you doing? So are you packing right now for the current season that you're in, or are you packing for seasons that have already passed? So I was watching, it had been a minute, but it was a show that came to mind. I used to watch this show, and it was about cars, and it was about fast cars. They wanted to race the cars, and to get the faster time, the cars had to get rid of some of the dead weight that would go into normal features that you would expect a car to have. Well, some of them have to go with certain materials that weigh less because it makes the car faster. So remove the stuff you don't need. Some of them even took out the passenger seats and other things in there that would be a normal comfort, things that you would expect. You get into the car and it only has a driver's seat, doesn't have the passenger seat. Why? Because that passenger seat, although it's nice, although to some people might be necessary, the goal of making that car faster, you have to get rid of dead weight. And that seat is dead weight. So you had to get rid of the things that are unnecessary to make sure that the goal is attained. And it's the same thing with us. We have to make sure that things and people around us are not slowing us down either. And let me tell you this right now. If you have people around you who are slowing you down, it's okay to part ways. We'll talk about that here a little bit more in just a minute. It's okay to part ways. I wrote down this point because I wanted to share it with you. It's okay to occasionally check the expiration date on others around you. To check the expiration date on others around you. We go and we check our refrigerator all the time. Is the milk bad? It's time to throw it out. But do we check the people who are around us? Is it time for them to go? Is it time for us to move on without that particular person? Now, as I'm saying that, let me make sure to be clear. I'm not saying that these are bad people. I'm not saying that these are, like folks who, aren't there necessarily for your good. But is it slowing you down from attaining the goals that you're going after? And why am I not calling them bad people? Because even in the Bible, it says that men of God can part ways as well, too. I want to share a story with you about some men of God who had to part ways. All right, so I want to go to Acts chapter 15, verse 36. And it says that sometime later, Paul said to Barnabas, "Let's go back and visit the brothers in all the towns where we preached the word of the Lord and see how they are doing." Now, Paul and Barnabas at this particular point in time in Acts, they were known as the super team. You hear this in sports sometimes. They were known as a super team. If you are into comic books and movies, they were the Avengers. These two brothers right here, they did it all. All right, Paul and Barnabas, they were the people, okay? They were doing it all. They did ministry. They did missionary work. They evangelized. They started churches. And after a while, after doing this for so long, Paul was like saying, okay, hey, let's go back and check on these places that we've been working on, the people who we've talked to, the churches that we've started, the things that we've done. Let's go back and see how it's going. Okay. And in verse 37, it says, Barnabas wanted to take John, also called Mark, with them. Watch this, verse 38. But Paul did not think it was wise to take him because he had deserted them in Pamphylia and had not continued with them in the work. Basically, Barnabas wanted to take John, all right, who's also called Mark. Now, the thing was that they were related, okay? Barnabas was actually John's uncle. He wanted to take his nephew. Now, Acts 13, a little bit before this, talks about how in the middle of the ministry that they were doing, John was with them. He was already with them. He was with Paul and Barnabas, and he left them to go back to Jerusalem. He was, for whatever reason he left. He didn't think it was, I don't know. He left, all right? But Paul, when he left him out there, Paul considered Mark deserter. He considered him somebody to just leave. He considered him as somebody who we can't trust this particular person. Now, Barnabas felt that Mark was different now. But Paul was saying, no, I don't think that he's ready for this. And we can't trust that he'll stay. If we bring him back out here with us, it's very possible that he will desert us one more time. Barnabas is saying, this is my nephew. We can bring him. Paul says, he's your nephew, but I can't trust him. Now, in verse 39, it says this right here. They had such a sharp disagreement that they parted company. The two of them, the super team, broke up. Paul and Barnabas, they walked away on it. You want to bring him, then you take him, but I'm going to go do something else. It says Barnabas took Mark and sailed for Cyprus, verse 40, but Paul chose Silas and left, commended by the brothers for the grace of the Lord. They had such a disagreement that they decided to leave. Now, there are many schools of thought on this right here. Many people can say that, okay, well, they stormed away to hate each other and never to talk again. And then other people say, okay, well, yes, they left, but they agreed that their time in ministry together was up and they decided to go and pursue different things. Now, you may be encouraged to take a particular side of the argument. You know, you are on Barnabas' side or you are on Paul's side. Paul was basically saying that even scripture-wise, right? No man who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit. In other words, if you get out here and start doing it, if you desert, you are turning your back on God. And Barnabas says, okay, well, everybody makes mistakes every now and again. We all have made mistakes. And as Jesus said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Now, as I said, you may take a position. Okay, well, you agree with Paul or you agree with Barnabas, but that's not the point. The point was that these brothers who had scriptural founding behind what they both believe, they said, okay, we're going to allow this to change our ministry and we are going to part ways on this because we cannot agree. The important thing in terms of however that went, there's something that we can learn from this. And this is what it is right here. We can disagree in love. You know, we live in a time now where when people disagree, they want to fight over a disagreement. Oh, we got to fight it out. You know, I have to badmouth you. You're a terrible person, and this, that, and the other. We got to call them out on social media because we now don't like this individual person. We have to do something to attack them. We have to ruin this particular person, all because of a disagreement. That's not the way that we need to do this. We can disagree and we can move on in love. Every disagreement doesn't have to be an attack. And just the same way, like I said, that we can disagree in love, we can separate in love as well. So again, like I said, Paul and Barnabas, they separate. We have the disbanding of a super team. And these two men of God decide to part ways and their ministry is over. Oh, everything is all said and done. The enemy is won, right? No, not necessarily. Let's go back and look at it. The super team broke up, but what happened when the super team broke up? Let's read it again. In verse 39, they had such a sharp disagreement that they parted company. Barnabas took Mark and sailed for Cyprus, but Paul chose Silas and left, commended by the brothers to the grace of the Lord. Verse 41, he went through Syria and Cilicia, strengthening the churches. You think again, with them separating, everything would be over. But Barnabas took Mark, the one who we wanted in the first place. He took his nephew. They went to Cyprus. Paul took Silas and they went to Syria. What were they doing? They were strengthening the churches. So they were one group. They were one group. And this one group, this one super team says, okay, we're going to change our ministry and we are going to separate. When we separate, we are now two groups going different places. And what are they doing? They're still doing the work of God. Now they are getting more work done because they can be in more places at once. You see, through the separation, they were able to do more. And in this, let me tell you this as well too. God adds through subtraction. You might look at a particular thing and say, okay, well, a loss is a loss. Well, see, they taught us this when we were in algebra. You know, if you have 1 and you subtract 1, well, you get 0. But do you remember the formula if it's 1 and you subtract a -1, something that wasn't supposed to be there in the first place? It actually adds something. You remember the formula, 1 minus -1. That turns into a plus and it now becomes 2. You can gain through subtraction. So although a particular thing looks like a loss, it actually can be a gain. And let me tell you this right here. Let me share this one scripture with you. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. It says, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. As I've always taught, this bad company is not labeling the person bad. The people who are with you, is not labeling them bad. What it is saying is that bad for the goals that you are going for. Those seats in that car may look nice and they may be there to make the car look well, but if it keeps it from performing the way that somebody's trying to do in terms of getting the fastest time, that chair is bad for the car. What do we have that we're packing for? Are the things that we have necessary for us in this season, or is it time to take a break? Okay, so I hope this was a blessing for you. It was just a short teaching here. I hope it was a blessing for you. If it was, if you would share it with somebody and give us a like, that would be greatly appreciated. You can subscribe to our channel. You can like us on Facebook. You can like us on TheGLCtv on YouTube. You can catch us on Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m. at the Guiding Light Church, 1800 John Rogers Drive, Birmingham, Alabama, 35210. Y'all take care. Glad to share some time with you. I'm Pastor Jim. Until next time.